Hello, in this video overview, we're going to talk about the difference between response validation and a quiz. And they're very similar, but there's one very significant difference. And that is when you make a quiz in Google Forms, and you go up here and you say, I want it to be a quiz. You decide, do you want them to be able to see this information and what have you. You can, if you make a quiz, if I make a question and I say, what is my favorite color? Of course, I can do multiple choice where they have to pick the right option. I can do checkboxes where they have more than one. So what are my two favorite colors would be checkboxes. And I could put in an answer key if I wanted to. So if I put in, let me put in the options first. Let's say that I said brown. And let's just say for time's sake today, that this is the right answer right here. Okay, so I'm going to go to answer key and I'm going to say this is the right answer. I'm going to take that one off. And I could give feedback and all that stuff depending on, what they got. If they got it wrong, I could give them feedback. I could give them a video about it so they could learn it. I could give them a response if they did it correctly. I could give them a video or a link to a page to give them more support or affirmation. I can do all that. And in a normal quiz, it would score them automatically if I wanted them to. And then they would move to the next question, whether they got it wrong or right. With response validation, they cannot move to the next question unless they get it right. And you say, why would I want to do that? Well, there's a great educational tech strategy called Breakout EDU, and it's really meant for people to work together and develop some critical thinking skills, collaboration skills, all that, some endurance, perseverance, all that. And basically, it's by using something called response validation. So instead of perhaps using the quiz format where they go through every question and they get what they get, they have to get the right question before they can move on. So how does this happen? Well, go ahead and say done here. First of all, you have to make either a short answer or a paragraph option. So if I do short answer and I say, what is my favorite color? I'm not giving them the answers here. Now I could, just like in a regular quiz, I could put in my correct answer. And I do know that capitalization makes a difference. So I would have to put both of those and say, the other ones are incorrect. That's fine. But if I don't, they have to know this before they go to this next section, which we'll talk about in a minute. They can use this right here, which is called response validation. So validating their response. So I'm going to select that. When I do that, I have some options, and mine is going to be a text answer because it says, what is the correct answer? Well, I'm going to say they have to put in text, and it has to have one of these four options, and I'm going to say it has to have yellow. So now here, you don't have to have capitalization. It just has to have yellow in there some way. If you do need to put in this, if they get it wrong, try again. All right. So that just lets them know that they didn't put it in correctly. And it does need to be required in order for you to use response validation. So you're saying, well, hey, this doesn't look too different. Once they're done with this, they can go to the next one. Well, this is where we want to add sections right here. So these add questions. This adds little text dividers or like headings. These add images, and this adds video, but this adds sections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here because I want this section to go after this question. And it says now section 2. Now, what I might want to say here is about our learning. All right, so here's section 2. I've called it this. And what I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to say, hey, once they get this, once they get yellow, I'm going to have them go to the next session called About Learning. So it's saying, okay, once they get it right, they can go. But if they don't get it right, they sit there. And so here, I might insert a video. So I clicked right here in my section, and I might say, watch the video to answer the following question or questions. I can insert video by going up here and searching for it and selecting it, and then it comes in. So in this video, they have to watch this video. And then what I did is after I added this video, I added a question. So I went here and I added this question and I made it a short answer question right here. Okay. Now here it is right here. Just to save time, I'm going to delete this, but I entered some information in here, and in the video it talks about, you know, what the answer is. Now, inside here, I selected response validation, and what I said was that the answer, this is the answer, these are the correct answers. I put them in right here, all right? I said it has to be these, it has to contain this right here. So I selected text and I said it has to have that, and then I put in helper text. And if I wanted to use this as a quiz later, I could certainly do that. I could put in the answers here if I wanted to, all right? So leave this at done. Now I can also add more than one question to a section. So not only in this section did I add video, but I can also add a question and add another question. So I just went up here and I added another question. Now I'm going to delete it, but I did change it to a short answer right here. So I'm going to delete this. And I said, what does the narrator of the video suggest that you should buy? So what I did is I clicked on this. I made sure that I selected response validation. And then I selected text and said it has to contain the word tissue. All right. And I made it required. And I had a little helper text. Make sure you put that in there. And then I said, hey, after you're done with this section, you've answered 2 questions. You have to get them both right, or you won't be able to move on to the next section. And the next section I'm going to say is 3. I always select this. I don't say next section. I always pick the exact section. This one actually is asking for them to add a file. So I actually use this right here, and I use this option right here, file upload, which is really cool. And when I did file upload, I had to press continue, and I was able to determine what kinds of things they could upload. I'm going to delete that right now. And what I said in here is basically I want them to take a picture, a screenshot of something on their computer, and then they were to add it. So this one does not, I did not use response validation because there is no correct answer to that one. So you don't have to do response validation in every one. I wanted to make sure and point that out. And at the very, very end, I just added a section here, and it just said congratulations, and I added a picture. So pictures can be added by going up here, and you can search in here, you know, high five, whatever you want here, and you know, you could select whichever one you like, insert it. It's going to add a picture inside your form here. Okay, so this one has happened, it's going here because I was clicked here when I added the picture. I'm just going to delete this picture for now. Okay, so basically all I'm doing is I'm making a form and I'm deciding how many questions do I have. And what I like to do right off the bat is if I know that I have 5 questions, I go in here and I make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. And then underneath each section, I basically add questions. So here I would say, what is my favorite type of dog breed? Oops. And if I don't want them to move on to the next challenge, I want to select this. I want to say, oh, I gotta be on the short answer. Make it required, and then say response validation. They must validate their response, and I know that the answer to this has to have the word beagle in it. It has to be a beagle. Again, if I'm not using it as a regular quiz, I don't have to do any of this stuff if I don't want to. If you want to give them some responses to whether they got the answer wrong or right, you can do that. But making it required, and I made it a response validation. All right. So I would go through, add all my sections, then add all my questions underneath my sections, and then I would make sure that after each one, it's going to the right section. So after they're done with this one, it's going to go to section 3. And after they're done with this one, I'm going to say go to section 4. And this section 4 is just a congratulations. It's not actually a question, so I just made a section called it congratulations. I made a high 5 in here. And at the very end of this, it will make them submit their form. Okay. I like to use this for Breakout EDU, where there's a team of students. They must work together to answer each of these questions. For more information, you can go to Breakout EDU.